Hello and welcome to the full Andrew WK episode proper. We start with the dude's debut album, I Get Wet. Released in 2001, it would come out via Island Records and it was produced by the man himself alongside several other people. I've already covered a lot of the background leading up to this already in the very brief history video, so let's begin with the album's opening song titled It's Time to Party, which is more of an intro, sort of instrumental sort of thing, so we'll go to the next song in a party hard. And yeah, I mean, if you want a blueprint for what Andy Wendy Candy is about, this is about as good as it gets. The instrumental work is nicely layered with really good usage of piano as a backbone to accompany the fast-paced guitar riffs and snare-heavy drumming. The lyrics cover mostly partying and that's it. It's not really the deepest stuff, but it's so much fun that I can't help but enjoy it. Andrew himself is an intensely captivating performer with a good guttural vocal style that really fits the dude's size to a T, and he is a big lad. I mean, he's just got so much stage presence that I really kind of love it. The production is fantastically overdubbed and complicated to really capture the album's feel, giving it a positive light that, again, I just really enjoy. The structuring is a bit repetitive and some songs needed a bit more on them, but it's a good bit of simple yet effective songwriting and it's still super fun to listen to. My favourite song goes to Ready to Die. I Get Wet is simple, short, silly, and almost clever in its delivery, so yeah, I love this more than I reasonably should. Next is the dude's second album, The Wolf. Released in 2003, it would have the same label and be produced by Andrew again, but with fewer people this time around. So, I Get Wet did really well, and Andrew got to perform at Ozfest, not to mention several of his songs being used in video games, TV shows, and even Jackass, the most prestigious, as we know. The album itself starts with a two-track combo, which begins like this. The 2-minute intro song Victory Strikes Again, which bleeds well into first proper song, Long Live the Party, and it's already sort of a different vibe from Andrew from these two songs alone. In terms of its instrumentation, it's a bit more piano-heavy, and a lot of the riffs sound a bit cleaner for it, not to mention better as a result. The lyrics have a more motivational and uplifting tone with songs about standing up for yourself, self-trust, self-belief, and actually really works quite well. Andrew sounds a bit better on all fronts again, showing his presence and cleaning up his singing, so he's a bit easier to understand this time around. Having about half of the producers as last time is good too, and the album still feels well polished and layered as a result, without being as excessive as I Get Wet could get. It's structured well, packing a lot more time and doing a lot more of its framework, staying in its lane quite nicely. My favourite song goes to Totally Stupid. The Wolf is a brilliant sequel to a really good first album, showing Andrew's surprising maturity while still being fun enough to bop your head to. Next is his third album, Close Calls with Brick Walls, released in 2006. It was his first through Universal Records and it was produced by Andrew WK on his Andrew W. Lonesome. So The Wolf was another hit of an album, and Andrew put out a DVD titled Who Knows, as well as breaking his foot on stage but finishing the tour anyway because he's awesome like that. This album did have some weird circumstances surrounding its release too, but that really didn't slow down Andy at all. The album again starts with the two intro song combo, starting with I Came For You and Close Calls with Bal Harbour, which then go into the first proper song, Not Going to Bed. So, it's not super different in terms of the instrumental style, with good emphasis on piano-fueled riffs accompanied nicely by good guitar and bass work, and the drumming is really nice too. Lyrically, it's sort of a lot of the same stuff, very motivational with topics like self-love, drugs, partying, all within the dude's wheelhouse, obviously. Andrew's performance has some of his best work as well, especially on guitar, and his clean singing is way better here and he utilises it a lot better too. The production is quite good with a nice emphasis on certain parts and really bringing a lot of it together, and the structuring is a lot more experimental and very strange with 18 songs packed into 47 minutes, but it's done in a lot of weirdly entertaining ways. My favourite song goes to I Want to See You Go Wild. Close Calls is a strange beast, but it's a fun one, and it's one of Andrew's more consistent performances, I think. Next up is his fourth album, 55 Cadillac, released in 2009. It would be his first through Ecstatic Peace and Skyscraper, and he would again self-produce it. So for background, there was a mixtape released earlier in the year of 2009, but mostly the album is good for Andrew because the previous decade of his career had a lot of legal issues, mostly those surrounding calls and walls. As for this album itself, it starts with the song Begin the Engine, and this might be a bit of a shorter paragraph as this album is completely instrumental, consisting entirely of improvised piano solos and, save for the last track, nothing else. Like, literally, there's no guitars, no drums, and no vocals, and no nothing until the very last song, and it's mostly just the pianist and his piano. And to be fair, that piano work is just really nice and slick, sounding smooth and pleasing to the ears. Lyrics are non-applicable as there aren't any, but Andrew's performance is quite nice and he actually feels surprisingly free on his own here. The production is also pretty good with the added car sounds adding like a really nice cheesy element and helping the main piano sound clean. The structuring is surprisingly nice too, with 40 minutes of somewhat uneven yet bizarrely satisfying solos strung together for the songs. My favourite song goes to Night Driver. There really isn't a lot to 55 Cadillac, but it's nice to hear Andrew still having fun, and it reminds you that the dude can go on the piano too. And finally we reach his fifth album, You're Not Alone, released in 2018. It would come out through Red and Sony, and it was produced again by Andrew himself. So you may have noticed that 9-year time gap, and it took the dude quite a while to put this one out. It wasn't lazy though, there was doing both music and speaking tours, going to a lot of fan conventions, and there was a lot of Japanese specific releases as well to keep him busy. That aside, back to this album, which starts with a short instrumental track, The Power of Partying, and then it goes into first song proper and music is worth living for, and the album feels like old school Andrew WK in a way. The instrumental stuff captures that well, and it's nicely paced with a good mix of heavy drums and riffs with some really nice keyboard work thrown in too. It's also maybe his most positive album in terms of lyrics, with self-reflection, love and motivation among other things as the main themes, and it feels really honest from him. Andrew, as you would come to expect, is still a great performer with a new sense of freedom to his playing as well as good power behind his voice too. The production is done quite well, really adding a lot and making everything sound quite nice and shiny, with Andrew really coming far in that field on his own. The structuring is done well with good pacing, even if some songs can feel a bit longer than they need to be sometimes. I do like the spoken word stuff a lot though. My favourite song goes to Total Freedom. You're Not Alone does have some fat to trim, but it's still a good taste of what you would expect with an added sense of freshness to it. And that'll about do it for another episode. Again, I had a lot of fun going over all of Andrew's stuff, and since my first album of his was You're Not Alone before I did this episode, I think that helps. Before I go, I want to say thank you to everyone who tuned into the streams last night. I'm sorry that the AVW portion of it was a bit wonky, but I will edit that together. Well, I have edited it together, I just need to export it, and because it's such a long video, it's going to take a long time to do that, so bear with me, I'll try and get that done over the weekend, as well as the PBW part. And as for future stuff, maybe another episode of Music of the Week. Maybe a top 10 list along the way, I'm not really sure. And before I leave, I want to thank my friend Doc for watching, and in the next episode I'll be tackling Black Veil Brides as requested by my friend Argyle Ninja, and as always, thank you for watching, you're awesome, bye bye.